Hello everyone, welcome to Business School 101. With the fourth largest nominal GDP, Germany is one of the most developed and influential economies in the world. Germany is also home of many industry leaders and global Fortune 500 companies, which include Daimler, BMW, Volkswagen, Adidas, Siemens, Bosch, Bayer, ThyssenKrupp, and many more. So what is Germany's general business environment? Can we apply Hofstede's cultural framework to analyze Germany's business culture? Do German companies obtain some unique organizational cultures or business etiquettes? In this video, I will discuss these topics with you. Section 1. General business environment. The economy of Germany is a highly developed social market economy. It has the largest national economy in Europe and the fourth largest nominal GDP in the world. According to the data from the World Bank, Germany's GDP in 2019 was $3.89 trillion. Its GDP per capita is $46,795, which is around three-fourths of America's GDP per capita, but is higher than the United Kingdom, France, and Japan. In addition, Germany is a founding member of the European Union and the Eurozone. Germany is one of the largest exporters in the world. Exports accounted for about 40% of its national output. The top 5 exports of Germany are vehicles, machinery, chemical goods, electronic products, and electrical equipment. The service sector contributes around 70% of Germany's total GDP, industry 29%, and agriculture 1%. Also, Germany is the world's #1 location for international trade fairs. Some 160 to 180 international and national trade fairs are held in the country every year, with around 180,000 exhibitors and 10 million visitors. Please keep in mind that because Germany is the largest manufacturing economy in Europe, it is less likely to be affected by a financial downturn. On the Corruption Perception Index, 2021, Germany ranks 10th out of 180 countries, receiving a score of 80. The scale ranges from 0, highly corrupt, to 100, very clean. For example, Denmark, Finland, and New Zealand equally rank #1 with a score of 88. South Sudan ranks 180 with a score of 11. Section 2. Hofstede's scores. As we covered in previous video, Hofstede's cultural framework is one of the most widely used tools to analyze a country's culture. Therefore, let's check Germany's scores in Hofstede's 6-dimension cultural framework. Please keep in mind Hofstede's score on each dimension is on a scale from 0 to 100. Dimension 1. Power distance. Power distance refers to how openly a society or culture either accepts or rejects differences between people, for instance, hierarchies in the workplace, in politics, and so on. At a score of 35, highly decentralized and supported by a strong middle class, Germany is not surprisingly among the lower power distant countries. Co-determination rights are comparatively extensive and have to be taken into account by the management. In Germany, a direct and participative communication and meeting style is common, control is disliked, and leadership is challenged to show expertise and is accepted when it's based on it. Dimension 2. Individualism. The individualism versus collectivism dimension considers the degree to which societies are integrated into groups as well as their perceived obligations and dependence on groups. It can also refer to people's tendency to take care of themselves and their immediate circle of family and friends, perhaps at the expense of the overall society. At 67, the German society is a truly individualist one. Small families with a focus on the parent-children relationship rather than aunts and uncles are most common. There is a strong belief in self-actualization. Loyalty is based on personal preferences for people as well as a sense of duty and responsibility. This is defined by the contract between the employer and the employee. Dimension 3. Masculinity. The masculinity versus femininity dimension is also referred to as tough versus tender, and it considers the preference of society for achievement, behavior, attitude towards gender equality, and more. With a score of 66, Germany is considered a masculine society. Performance is highly valued and early required as the school system separates children into different types of schools at the age of 10. People rather live to work and draw a lot of self-esteem from their tasks. Managers are expected to be decisive and assertive. Status is often shown, especially by cars, watches, and technical devices. Dimension 4. Uncertainty avoidance. The uncertainty avoidance dimension considers the extent to which uncertainty and ambiguity are tolerated. This dimension also considers how unknown situations and unexpected events are dealt with. At 65, Germany is among the uncertainty-avoidant countries. In line with the philosophical heritage of Kant, Hegel, and Fichte, there is a strong preference for deductive, rather than inductive approaches, be it in thinking, presenting, or planning, and a systematic overview has to be given to proceed. Germans are also known to be detail-oriented and well-disciplined. Dimension 5, Long-term orientation. The long-term orientation versus short-term orientation dimension considers the extent to which society views its time horizon. Long-term orientation emphasizes perseverance and growth. In contrast, short-term orientation focuses on the near future by delivering short-term success and emphasizing the present. Germany's high score of 83 indicates that it is a pragmatic country. In societies with a pragmatic orientation, people believe that truth depends very much on the situation, context, and time. They show an ability to adapt traditions easily to changed conditions, a strong propensity to save and invest, thriftiness, and perseverance in achieving results. Dimension 6. Indulgence. Indulgence indicates that a society allows relatively free gratification related to having fun in life. Conversely, restraint indicates that a society suppresses gratification of needs and regulates it through social norms. The low score of 40 on this dimension indicates that the German culture is restrained in nature. Societies with a low score in this dimension have a tendency to cynicism and pessimism. Also, in contrast to indulgent societies, restrained societies do not put much emphasis on leisure time and control the gratification of their desires. Section 3. Organizational culture. Generally, the German organizational culture has the following features. First, focus on the task. In Germany, the task is the central and dominant issue in all business interactions and also determines the style of communication. The relationship level assumes a more subordinate role in professional life. Germans usually think that operating at the task level should form the basis of all business contacts. Second, value structures and rules. In German companies, there are countless rules, regulations, procedures, and processes. German businesspeople prefer contracts and written agreements of all types. The existence of these things and their tight and consistent application, the adherence to them, and the rigid consequences, or even penalties for not complying with them are in stark contrast to other cultures. On the one hand, this underscores consistency and a high degree of mutual obligation. On the other hand, this principle leaves little room for flexibility and individual determination. Third, separation of private and public spheres. Germans exercise a strict separation between the various spheres of their life. They clearly vary their behavior with other people depending on the sphere of their life in which they have contact with an individual as well as the closeness of the relationship. This frequently leads to Germans in business or public life being seen by members of other cultures as very remote, cold, and even overtly unfriendly. Fourth, directness of communication. Germans communicate very directly and explicitly. They formulate important statements directly and openly, and without window dressing. They can appear rude and threatening without meaning to, or even noticing it. In return, they do not easily recognize and respond to verbal subtleties, such as indirect hints, messages between the lines, and many non-verbal signals. They can therefore often miss the decisive content of the interaction. Section 4. Business etiquette. Here are some important business etiquettes you need to be aware of when you meet or negotiate with your German partners. 1. Germans take punctuality seriously. If you are running late, call in advance to let your German counterpart know. 2. People enter a meeting in order of importance, the highest ranking person arriving first and so on. The same goes for introductions. 3. If you are not hosting the meeting, wait to be directed where to sit. 4. A small amount of social conversation may begin the meeting, but expect a German to get down to business very quickly. 5. Initially, meetings will likely be formal with the primary purpose of determining familiarity and trustworthiness. But formality tends to relax as negotiations progress. 6. Meetings have strict agendas, both regarding the time frame and the goal of the meeting. 7. All parties are expected to participate in the discussion in equal amount. 8. Expect the discussion to be well thought out. Germans are unlikely to air ideas that are not fully formed and instead tend to speak their mind once they have already refined their opinion. 9. Much time is spent on a comprehensive explanation of all components of an agreement. This can seem fastidious, but this is to ensure a thorough understanding of all ends. 10. Although Germans are good listeners, you may find that they are not easily persuaded. 11. Once final decisions are agreed upon, they are written into documents that explain each plan of action in detail. 12. Knocking on the table with one's knuckles at the end of a meeting signals approval of an agreement and the conclusion of the meeting. Alright, that's all for today's topic. So, what do you think about Germany's business culture? Do you have any related experience or story willing to share? Please leave your thoughts in a comment below. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.